And we're live.
Boom, we're live.
We're back. 2 weeks off, or 1 week off.
Hiatus is over.
Yeah, we have a very sad Luke right now.
I'm so angry.
Oh,
I'm not
angry
even-
Luke.
I'm not even mad at Josh. Like, good for you, Josh. Like, it's not even. I'm not even. It's stupid. It's a silly game we play. But anyway, how are you guys doing? Fresh off of a win and a loss.
Where were you when that happened?
Sitting on my couch crying.
Yeah.
Not crying, but.
You
Not
didn't turn the
happy.
TV off after it went to fourth down. You're like, all right, it's over. I got it.
No, so it had been a very intense day in the Parra household. A lot of things had gone down. And my one solace was that I got to sit down late at night to watch football. And it was like, hope was there because, like, Josh was still like 4 points down. The Miami game was wrapping up. The Seattle game looked like it was going to be like Detroit was so far up that they were just essentially like running it, getting stuff, punting. Like, they didn't care if they're just trying to get out of the game. And then Pollard gets the 1st and 10 carry on the 10-yard line because of a fumble, by the way. Sorry, not a fumble. It was a safety
Did we
that
lose
they
him?
punted.
Oh.
The Miami Dolphins punted. It was an illegal spot because of dynamic kicking, which gave the Titans the 1st down on the 10-yard line. So erase everything that happened all week. If the Dolphins don't get an illegal spot with their punt, the Titans never get inside the 10-yard line, and they don't do this shit. But anyway, it's 1st and 10. Pollard gets the carry. I'm like, ugh, doesn't get it. 2nd and 9, gets the carry, loses a yard. I'm like, let's go. Third and 10, gets 6 yards, but he's still 4 yards out from the end zone. 30 seconds left on the clock. Titans let it roll down and call a timeout because they didn't want to get the late game. And I'm like, all right, I got to kneel. Pollard punches it in 4 yards out.
Didn't they get a penalty before the fourth
I
down?
believe it. I don't care, dude. I
don't
don't know
think
what
so.
happened. I just remembered that it was Pollard 4 times in a row, gets stuffed 3 times. They're winning the game. It's not like they need this.
They
And the
could
coach
just
is like,
kneeled it out.
Go.
I think
go,
they did
go.
it because earlier in the game, Pollard had like a 30-yard run or something and got him to the goal line, and then he got stuffed, and then they gave it to Spears, and Spears punched it in.
Sure, whatever.
So they just wanted him to get a touchdown.
Again, the like series of events that got them there was so stupid.
It would have
Like,
been
is that-
interesting if Montgomery had scored a touchdown and made that whole thing irrelevant, because that was a real possibility.
But
the
he
end
already
of the-
scored a touchdown.
No, like another one, because
another one?
the Lions game was still going, and they got in the red zone, and then they kicked the
Yeah.
field goal.
Anyway, I'm enough about me. This podcast isn't about me.
So how about those trades, boys?
Some wild moves going on.
I think a few
Where do
people
we
were
start?
surprised by the Mahomes trade, although it made perfect sense to me, to be honest.
Really?
So
Yeah,
where was your thinking there, Noah? I'm curious.
that Mahomes isn't a valuable asset, so it's kind of like a meaningless trade. You're just trying to get a running back for
no, he didn't even need the running back. That was acquiring draft capital and fab. That's all that move was.
Okay.
And clearing a roster spot.
Yeah. Dumping the Mahomes.
And then Kessner, I guess, like, hey, maybe he needs a quarterback, so hopefully Mahomes maybe can fix his quarterback problems. I don't
Yeah,
think
I think he's had Mahomes in the past, so probably has some sentimental value there.
so. I don't know. So what has transpired with Mahomes is what made the original deal with Jacob like such a moot point, because it was like maybe Jacob can get more back, but Mahomes does not look great. His outlook isn't great. Like, it's not like, Justin not spending a ton to get him made a lot of sense, and now you're getting rid of him. But Justin, you were a part of this deal. Talk
Mhm.
us through it.
Yeah, the whole reason I made the deal was to get Dontavian Wicks.
Yep. Just
I
to get
was,
Fab.
yeah, I was. Well, number one, I felt like I needed to get Fab, which apparently I didn't. Just fine, because I got Wicks. That's all I cared about. But yeah, like, so I knew I wanted Fab, but more importantly, I needed a roster spot because I didn't want to drop anybody on my squad. So I was considering dropping Mahomes, as crazy as that sounds, because he was the player on my team that I wanted the least because Justin Fields just went 30. He looks like the starter. There's a
Yeah.
chance Devon, you know, like he looks great. Like, so I think he's my quarterback. So I needed to dump him. I actually hit up Jacob like, hey, you want him back? I'll offload him for cheap, you know, just for fab dollars. And it turns out, and I hit up Kessner, and I knew Kessner probably wanted him because he has a quarterback issue, and he was like, I can't give much, and I was like, I'm not looking for a ton, like.
I will take
So
anything.
we worked out a deal, and here we are.
Yeah, it was a good deal.
Yeah. And yeah, it lets you spend even more for Wix. So you got him. Congratulations. Next
Yep.
closest was a 12 bid, so safe and sound there.
Yeah, very efficient. Very efficient.
Yeah.
I was going all in either way. It's just a matter of how much money I had in the bank.
Was there any bit of you like, because Wix I think has been on your roster twice already, and then off your roster, back on and off your roster? Was that like kind of driving like, not this time? Like I can't.
I was. Yeah, I think on Sunday I was watching. I've just been tracking Dobbs because I think Dobbs, like, he was kind of interested in me. I had him on the roster. And I've been tracking Wicks as well. And, you know, I see he had like 5 targets, and then towards the end of the game, I see he has 13 targets. And I'm like, what has happened? And then I've been super on high on Wicks ever since the draft. That's why I drafted him in the 12th round. But it's so hard, you know, when you have a bad roster to roster a guy who's goosing and is getting the 4th most snaps and routes on your team. It's just not possible. But my key was always, if Christian Watson got hurt, I'm gonna bring him back on the roster because I think that'll trigger. Well, it happened, and then he goes off in the second half, and I was so bummed because I was like, he was second on my waiver priority. I was gonna add after I dropped Tyrone Tracy. I was gonna pick up either Algier or Wicks. And I decided to go Algier, and I was because I knew what was going to happen. I was like, now I have to spend so much money. So I was bummed, but at least I still got him. That's the important bit.
Well, you did. A flurry of waiver moves this week too. A couple interesting ones while we're here. Trey Sermon goes to Sam for $23. Guy who has JT doesn't put a bid in. I don't know if I disagree with that because his roster is so jam packed. Like,
yeah, he didn't need him.
It's like, well, I mean, he's starting Braylon Allen and Bucky Irving this week. Like, I'm not excited about that. Although he is playing Sam, who kind of still is coming back. We'll get to Sam, but I don't know. It's not exciting to me. But just interesting because he gets to play Trey Sermon against Guy. Wandale goes for big bucks. And maybe he's going to PPR thing. Bryn picks up an RB stud in Jeremy McNichols. On everybody's radar. Had to fight off the masses for that ad. Guy picks up Koo for $5. He was lamenting because he thought he picked up Koo earlier in the week. He did not. Elliott puts up a stinker. Koo puts up 20, so he overpays to make sure he gets that ad. Antonio Gibson goes to Josh Kobayashi, and he might be the starter in New England. That's a developing story. No, as a Pats fan, do you have any more on that? Or
Nope.
Okay. And then Santos snipes a kicker yet again. Well done, Santos. And then we saw some more trades go through, like the Rashid Shaheed. Never mind, that didn't happen. Like the Jameson Williams, Darnell Mooney trade. I do want to talk about the Raheed. I want to talk about all of these as one deal because it's like we've peeled back the curtain into the inner workings of Guy and Ken working out a trade. And did Ken not like the Shaheed trade? I don't understand. Like, as Guy, wouldn't you prefer Shaheed to Mooney?
That's what I was thinking.
Absolutely.
Like, I thought it was a fair trade. And was surprised when it changed to Mooney.
Guys, I see those two players very similarly. Ken's picking up a slight, the smallest of ever draft bumps, just because J-Mo's on bye and Guy needs a guy to start. And then it's like, Noah, your comment, which I read as sarcasm, essentially like triggers this deal to be reversed. Like,
was it because of me? I was like, this is unfair, and then they were like,
I
they
don't
undid it.
know. I don't know, but
I
that's
hope
how
not.
it happened. And then there's a new trade coming.
I just think
through.
swapping for a 14 for 15 is hilarious because it's like so irrelevant.
Absolutely,
That's all my comment was.
And then no, here's the trade we really wanted. It's Darnell Mooney instead. Which again, Mooney's a fine player. I prefer Shaheed, but I don't really. I don't think again this is an unfair trade at all. It's just like the turn of events was bizarre, to say the least.
And it'll probably all be irrelevant because they're all about the same. So like,
yeah,
trading a wide receiver for wide receiver straight up with no real added perks is kind of an interesting trade because it's like you're just gambling on who will be better long term, and it could be either.
Last year we saw it's similar in terms of terms, but the caliber was much higher. Justin, you made a deal for Devontae Adams and Nico Collins, and we're seeing the kind of fallout of that one. And I think we'll see something similar in terms of keeper value because Collins was great last year, but he really is shining on Mark's roster as a 10th round keeper. And JMO has a great keeper stance. I believe JMO can be kept in the 8th round, and that could be very valuable. Guy could finally have, or Ken could finally have a keeper that he likes because he hasn't had a keeper in a while.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And then an hour later, Josh Jacobs gets put on the block. And less than 20 minutes go by, and he gone. Yeah,
I wanted to put in an offer for him, but I was too slow.
I made an offer for him. I was told, hey, I want to look at other offers that came in. I'll get back to you. I like your offer. And then the trade was done. So Jacob's very high on Cooper. He thinks Cooper could be amazing for his team. Sends out Tyreek and Jacobs, picks up Cooper in a 4th. What are you guys thinking about this in overall value? This face value?
I mean, I like Sam's end, except that he's sending away a draft pick, which I'm very hesitant to ever do. But from a 3-1 spot, I like it. You get a good running back, someone that you can start every week that he's healthy, and then you can wait for Tyreek to cook. Hopefully Tua comes back, and then now you have Tyreek with Tua as well, which is insane.
Yeah, I think for me it's a pretty even trade because I think Cooper is undervalued. Like I'm high on Cooper. His target share is outstanding. I can't remember what his schedule he's faced. It's been like hot and cold. He's got some nice matchups upcoming. Obviously, going from 7 to 4 is a good pick jump. Like I always kind of like I don't want to do pick jumps less than 2. Like it's just kind of irrelevant. But 3 and going from 7 to 4, like that's substantial. And then obviously Sam's side, like there's a lot of potential here, and it's all really contingent on does Tua come back because I don't think it'll be worth it if Tua doesn't come back. And Josh Jacobs is kind of now that Emmanuel Wilson ends to emerge and Marshawn Lloyd will eventually come back. So I think it's a pretty fair trade. I think it makes sense from both sides. And like there's a legitimate chance that Amari Cooper outplays Tyreek Hill. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. His upside is very large. So with the Browns, he plays Washington, Philadelphia, Cincinnati. Those next 3 matchups are extremely juicy. And there's a rumor that he gets traded to the Chiefs, which I think would just
that's true.
Decimate his value, or not decimate, like skyrocket his value. So yeah, I don't dislike the move. It was very fast and sudden, but Jacob apparently has been after Cooper for a while, and he found a way to get him. So good for you, Jacob. So there you go. I'm sure we'll see some more moves, maybe not this week, but over the next couple weeks. The trade deadline is a couple weeks away, so we have time, but there's very
5
little
weeks
parity.
away, 4 weeks away,
4 weeks away, I believe. But there's very little parity in league right now. There are no 2-2 teams. Everybody is either 3-1, 4-0, or 1-3, which is horrifying because it's going to become, I think, a buy-sell market if this continues. You'll have teams looking to sell because a whole bunch of teams are out, and you'll have a bunch of teams looking to buy, trying to bolster their rosters. And I would venture to say that teams selling will not get as good as a return because there might be so many teams selling, but it is early. It is early. Things
Well, you can count one team out. I'm not selling.
I'm with you there, Justin. I will be trying to win until it's mathematically impossible to, and that's well past the trade deadline. Yeah, you only get to do this one time a year. No backing out now. But there you go. Crazy week of moves, and let's get to the rankings. It's been 2 weeks. So I do apologize to teams hopefully thinking about, hey, where was I last week? Because you might have maybe moved up and you've moved back down or vice versa. We will be basing our jumps from 2 weeks ago. So whatever has happened in the last 2 weeks, this is where we're at. And starting off at the bottom, there we have a new bottom resident, basement dweller. It's not Jacob. It is El Bryn. Bryn is at 12. This team is doo-doo. This team is El Hot Garbo. Someone tell me something good about the squad. Anything. Tell me anything good. There you go. So
I got nothing.
yeah. I mean, I'm hoping. I guess Jalen Hurts is an asset, but he's on bye this week, as is Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert, tight end 1, is off as well. Bijan has been underperforming. Rachaad White has had half of his work taken away by Bucky Irving. There are no receivers on the roster worth playing. Carson Steele had his job taken away by a fumble. It's a disaster. It's a disaster in Junglestown. 2 kickers, 0 rings, is looking for another 12-play start. That would help us all. Brutal.
Come on, Brad. We had such hope for you this year.
It's a rough outlook.
And then it's like, do you sell? Like, if you sell Hurts, then you're really gonna end in 12th. Then do you really want to be 12 2 years in a row? Like, that's not.
Has that happened before?
No, and you don't want to be that guy.
Because Cody was a part of this league at one point.
Yeah.
And even he managed to avoid that.
Yeah, that's insane. Although Bryn is trying, like Bryn is setting his lineup. It's not like he's inactive. His decision making has just been maybe subpar.
Well, he did already start selling, so
well, I mean, yes, a little bit. That trade, in theory, Steele was an asset at the time, no longer.
I mean, but when you're getting picks, like substantial picks back, I mean, you're giving up value. So, you can't say I'm trying not to finish 12th and then giving players away for picks. There's a bit of cognitive dissonance.
It's true. All right, moving on. Bryn, I wish you the best of luck. Out of 12th place, fresh at 11th, it's Jacob, the newly acquired Amari Cooper manager. And this squad does have a little hope, even though he's sitting at 0-4, the worst record in the league. There's some players here. Am I wrong? Aaron Jones, Cooper, Addison's been great. That's as far as I can see.
I mean, Kareem Hunt could be the guy for the Chiefs, as long as the check is out.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire is coming out. His practice window open this week, so we'll see how that develops. But it'll probably take at least a week or two to acclimate. So, worst case, Hunt has got the lead job by himself for a couple weeks here.
And Nick Chubb, Nick Chubb is on this roster, and his practice window has opened. So that's of note.
Yep, and those matchups we read about Cooper are likewise for Chubb, which maybe that helps the deal go through, not getting a running back when getting Cooper, as he knows he has Chubb coming back to kind of fill that spot. But yeah, the Aaron Jones Vikings homer has got 3 Vikings in his lineup. They've been playing great, but he just hasn't put it together in terms of win-loss, just barely losing to Sam last week. Yeah, Jacob, keep doing what you're doing, man. I appreciate you trying to fix this roster and try to get in space winning. I'll tell you, I did not think that Zach Charbonnet would outscore Tyreek Hill. That's something I thought would happen.
Surprise upset.
with Walker back in the lineup, I was like, okay, Charbonnet's back to doing nothing. Well, he just enough in a shootout. But yeah, there you go. Jacobs at 11. Justin at 10.
This is
Noah.
no change. No change.
No change. No change. Noah, tell me why you and I both have him at 10, but why do you have him at 10?
So I was working from the bottom up with the second half of the rankings because there's so many 1 and 3 teams, and he was just the team I wanted the third least, to be honest. I'm trying to find your team.
It's Fields, Hubbard, Dowdle, Drake London, Jamar Chase, Dalton Kincaid.
So just looking at this in a snapshot, the running back situation is spooky to me.
You don't like Chuba Hubbard,
Not
RB1,
really.
RB5, RB7 the past 2 weeks since Andy Dalton started?
Yeah, it's hard
was
to
against
gauge
Chicago.
what the Panthers will be like if what's his name Andy Dalton starts the rest of the year, because obviously they all got a boost. Like if you're expecting Hubbard and Deontay Johnson to just perform as they have for the last 2 weeks, the rest of the year they're going to be top 3, which I don't think it will be what reality has in store. But I mean, upside obviously is great, or outlook is great.
But Dowdle, Madison, Algier, that's the other half of this running back room.
Hey, Jonathan Brooks is on this roster.
But Brooks
Pacheco.
takes away Chuba's value. Like come on now. You kind of want him to stay on that IR spot. You want him to stay there. So
Pacheco
Chuba has
is
it all to
also on the
himself.
roster too.
When does Pacheco due back?
Let's see. So 2 weeks ago it was 6 to 8
10.
weeks.
I mean, okay, he should be back. All right, gotta hold out.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Top 2 receivers are good. London, I guess, has been fine. Chase is obviously Jamar Chase.
Yeah, Chase will start to cook here. I think I owned Fields last year, and it was kind of these types of numbers. You know, the Steelers are obviously a better organization than the 2023 Bears, but I wouldn't be surprised if next week we're back down in the 11 points, because the fluctuations with him are kind of like that, or at least they were. So riding high off to 32 points, but I don't know if that's just going to be how it is.
My projection for Fields is that he'll have actually a good game these next 2 weeks. I think they're going to take the reins off of him because, like they did this last week, because of the game script. Against Dallas, they'll have to do the same thing. I don't think Vegas can do anything to stop our offense, but I think the Jets, that's when you'll have to look elsewhere. But yeah, it will be hot and cold. I agree. But there are a lot of worse quarterback situations in the league, like the guy you're playing.
This is true.
And Kincaid's been in tight end wasteland. He's been fine. Yeah, I'll take 7 points out of my tight end. I'm glad you're high on Wicks. Hopefully it connects for you. I'm not as optimistic, but
yeah, that could be big going forward.
Yeah, if he like, to me, like, that's why I kind of went hard after him. Is, to me, I have like 3 solid pieces I think I can depend on, and I've always been of the belief if you have 4 solid contributors, you're definitely in the playoff bubble. So I felt like going after Wicks, I think he definitely has that upside. And if I'm wrong, I think Dobbs could also be a big beneficiary. Like, whoever the number 2 behind Jaden Reed is, I think is going to. We've only seen 2 games with Love, and I think this offense is good. So whoever the number 2 is, I think is going to be a solid contributor. And so I've got 2 of them. So hopefully one of them pans out.
yeah. So there you go. Justin's at 10. Hopefully you keep crawling your way back out. Santos is at 9. Drop of 1 for Santos. And looking at this team, it's similar to mine in terms of potential. Like, Godwin and Diggs have been great. Henry's been great. Etienne's been fine. Um,
I kind of like this roster. I'm not gonna lie. You just need to dump Andrews because it's over, man. But like I like the wide receiver trio. I think that's going to continue to be great. You know, you're not going to get wide receiver one in the week, but you're going to get, you know, top 12 production. I think week in and week out or close to it. So you're going to be getting a lot of contributors. Like to Justin's point, like those 3 wide receivers plus Henry is going to be max or a lot of contribution. So he has, you know, 2 potential quarterbacks here. I don't know who I guess I'd play Prescott over Richardson. Richardson's kind of been stinking up.
And he's hurt.
yeah,
Oh, he is.
Stevenson's
Well,
on
then
the
Prescott
out.
is a fine alternate option. Quarterback 7 on the year.
I think, you know, looking at the team, the darts or the kind of players that Santos stood on in terms of like these are players I believe in, and that's why he's ranked here is Richardson and Andrews, right? He spent his 3rd round keeper on Andrews. He traded his 4th round pick to essentially draft Richardson there. And those guys have been the biggest flops of this room, and he actually had an okay draft in his starters besides that. And so hopefully he can kind of turn it around in terms of putting other auxiliary pieces together. But I'm shocked he's 1-3. I feel like these guys have been popping off. Like
He's
Henderson.
Well,
minus 2 in expected
minus
wins.
2 expected
Okay,
wins.
that makes more sense. All
So
right.
he's been the unluckiest manager so far.
Yeah, so maybe
Yeah, so he's been consistent. He just
we might
needs
have him low.
to get a little bit luckier and get rid of Andrews.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we might have him low. We might have him low. Okay. Oh, there's Santos. I'm at 8, drop of 3. I was at 5 last time.
Yep.
Nothing's
Yeah,
changed.
because you were coming off the 150 point week.
Which my team can do, and I've just made it better since then. But whatever, I'll sit at 8. What
I
do
mean,
you,
I
what
don't
do you-
know. I don't know
I don't
about
really want to.
better.
I'm upset. I've added Pickens and got rid of. That was my one addition.
Well,
Pickens was an
you
upgrade.
made additions, but I think the outlook on some of your players, like to me, the biggest downer on the roster is I'm concerned about Kyler and Trey McBride. I have them in other leagues. I've been looking to move them. I'm concerned about the Arizona offense in general, I think, and that is a big part of why I like the roster is that you have really good onesie positions. But if Trey McBride doesn't fall on a ball in the end zone of a fumble, he's been bad. Kyler has had one good game and has otherwise been bad. Yeah, that's Debo's been hurt. Getting him back. Brian Thomas is looking good, but otherwise it's a lot of like meh that I don't know who to play each week, and I don't like that. So that's why I've kind of moved you down is because the Arizona offense was such a big part of why I like the roster, and I am very concerned about the Arizona offense.
Sure, I get it. I think I put myself down as well. I moved myself down a spot. I'm high on my own supply. I like what Deontay Johnson and Brian Thomas are doing. I like getting Debo back. I think the Steelers' offense is just going to get better, but got to win. I haven't been able to win in a little while, so frustrating. I don't really want to talk about more about it. This week was so frustrating.
Long season ahead.
Should have.
Long season ahead.
Oh, all right. Moving on. It's Josh, my nemesis at 7. No change. It's Josh Kobayashi, return of the Hawkins strap. Finally did the right thing. Put Pitts on the waiver wire. Playing Kate Otten, trying to catch some of that.
He was who we thought he was.
That Laser Mayfield action. And I think I have him lower than you two because I'm not a believer in Olave. I'm not a believer in Ayuk. I'm not a believer in DeAndre Swift.
DeAndre Swift isn't the starter.
Well, DeAndre Swift is not a starter.
I'm not
Both of his starters
believer
are
in
on bye.
Pollard too.
I think Pollard's fine. I'm a big fan of Montgomery. He looks so good.
Monty's going to be good all year. But yeah, Justin Jefferson's been out fantastic as he has, and of course he has Josh Allen. But there's just a lot of question marks for his squad. that I wouldn't want to deal with. Like, he's gonna play Ayuk again. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
the
play Ayuk
IU
again.
question is a problem. I still want to
I'm not
believe,
worried about
but
Ayuk.
it's just not happening.
How can you not be worried about Ayuk, Justin? Like,
I'm worried, but I still want to believe.
2 weeks ago, he had all of the targets to himself. Kittle was out. Debo was out. He had a plus matchup against the Rams. He had 10 targets, and he put up 7 points. Like,
The volume's there. Like that's the important bit, and
but
clearly wasn't in
Shanahan's
shape. It's gonna get better. They paid him so much money because he's good, and he wasn't in shape. It's gonna get better. I think you just have to be patient with it. I would be trying to trade if it wasn't on Josh's roster. I'd be trying to trade for him, because it's this because the sentiment is like this. It's bad, but the talent is absolutely there. So and the volume has started to come there. So I'm not worried. Um, and I like Josh's roster. I think Josh Allen coming off a down game, but he's still Josh Allen. Um,
yeah.
he's got perhaps the best quarterback in the league. The wide receiver core is excellent. I'm not down on Olave. Josh has complained about him falling down the 1 yard line, which is true. He has fallen down at the 1 yard line a bunch of times. And if
And
he
he's
doesn't,
still a top 24.
if he doesn't fall down on the 1 yard line those 2 or 3 times, it's a completely different conversation. Xavier Legette with Adam Thielen out is looking like a real plus. So yeah, maybe let's imagine that Ayuk doesn't get it together. I think Legette can pick up the scraps. Running back core is a question mark, but I think it's solid enough. Pollard has been better than I thought he was going to be, and David Montgomery obviously is solid. So I think it's a solid roster, and it's got plenty of upside.
All right. Moving on. Sam is at 6. Climb of 5 was buried in the basement at 11. And I feel like I probably would have moved him up.
Oh, you guys are high on Sam too.
Am I?
I thought I was going to be the only one. Well, relatively.
No, I'm not.
I'm the
well,
highest.
comparative to his move, because he was like, what, 11 2 weeks ago?
He was 11.
Yeah.
And like I said, I probably would have moved him up regardless of the trade. The trade helps his value, and I decided to kind of rank these guys based on their rosters, like if they were kind of fully healthy or kind of that value. There's a lot of season left. It's not like if teams were at this position in terms of injury and it was like week 10, I probably would rank it differently. But because a lot of people are going to come back, there's plenty of time. But really purely because of the emergence of Jayden Reed.
Yes.
Jayden Reed has been outstanding, especially with Love in the lineup. He's the guy. The scheme looks to him. He's paid off. Right? He's telling them, "Hey, keep doing it," because he's dominating. And it really solidified the receiver room. And then the trade for Hill, even when Tua comes back, which I do believe Tua will be back, makes this receiver room scary, because he doesn't need guys like Devontae Adams to contribute, which is a huge question mark. And he's making the running backs work, man. He's finding a way because it's been a nightmare. He lucked out on the Charbonnet play for a couple weeks. Walker went down right when he needed to start. Javonte didn't pan out, but he's able to pick up Jacobs here, and Trey Sermon should be a good week or two spill or plug and play. So Sam's managing well. It was a tough start to the season, and he's hopefully catching a very strong guy team a little bit with his pants down in terms of buys and injuries. So he can maybe
he could squeak out another win here against Guy and then be 4-1. At that point, you could lose your way until your players come back, and then you'll be 4-4. I optimistically fully healthy with Hill back with Tua and with McCaffrey back in the lineup.
He's also got Puka.
Insane.
Lest we forget.
Yeah, Puka should be back. I want to ask you guys, what is your outlook on McCaffrey?
I believe he's going to come back.
What does your heart tell you?
So even without, I'm the Mason. I'm in 3 leagues. I'm Mason in all of them. I drafted him because my belief was McCaffrey was not right from the start. Again, I'm the Mason owner, so maybe it's a little biased, but I do think that they hold him until they can't hold him any longer. Like, I think
What does that mean?
that means that they're gonna stare down like, hey, we're gonna make it in the playoffs. We're not playing for a number one seed. We need him to play games in the postseason. If we make it without him, that's great. And they only bring him back if they're in trouble. Like, looking ahead, we need him to be out there to make sure we make playoffs. Which
Well, they're
there's
2-2 right now, so it's not rosy.
right. That's yeah. So, but I think that that's going to be the narrative. Like, there was a report released that he has tendonitis in both Achilles, not just one.
But that's
It's
apparently pretty common if you do have Achilles tendonitis. That's not like it was a big deal. Like, oh, he's got it both, but like it wasn't new information, and that's pretty common. So, like for me, I I've kind of tossed around the idea of trading for him in other leagues, but that didn't really change my outlook on him. I think he will come back. It's probably for the play. My guess is for the fantasy playoffs. Um, in which case,
I mean, if he's playing, you start him. Like, there's no
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
yeah.
And like, I wouldn't be surprised if they take some snaps, give him to Jordan Mason a little bit. Doesn't matter. You're just gonna start him, and for Sam's squad, if he gets him back at all, like, and right now, like, this is a perfect situation for Sam. He's 3-1, doesn't need to move. Like, he can just afford to not have him for the entire season potentially. This team is absolutely good enough to make it to the playoffs, potentially even win a championship without McCaffrey. And oh boy, if he does get him back. So like it doesn't matter, I think. If I'm Sam, I'm just kind of that's as long as I keep winning, I ain't changing anything.
Sure.
And so and and just the way his roster is built with just great wide receivers all over the place. Yes, some of them are hurt. It's like I've said before, earlier on the season, teams with good wide receiver cores, they tend to get better over the season because wide receivers don't depreciate as fast as running backs do. So I think that's going to help Sam.
Well, there you go. Bump of 5, Sam. I've got you at 4, by the way. So these guys are sleeping on you at 6. Moving on. It's Noah at 5. And Noah, you are very, very high on your squad here, Chief.
Yeah, I thought my team only improved since the last time we did rankings. So you tell me what you guys are seeing.
Just you want me? You want me to do it? You want
Yeah, I'll go ahead. I have a lot of your guys in other leagues, and I'm down on my teams. I'm like Devon Achane has just been deleted.
He's deleted? Damn.
I mean, 4 points. Without Tua, it just looks bad. It is bad.
It feels bad.
It feels bad too. Garrett Wilson is just not a wide receiver. He's not an alpha wide receiver. Mike Evans is fine. He's going to be hot and cold, but
so you guys are down on Wilson. That's fair.
Yeah, I'm down on Wilson. I'm down on Achane, and that's a huge part of the squad.
I'm down on Moore too.
Rashee Rice going down is a huge, I think, for Kelsey, which I think.
Yeah, that's why I flipped me over Ken, because like Ken's roster gets hurt losing Rice, and my roster gets better.
Ken's roster has Kyren Williams and Saquon Barkley
getting Kelsey.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like, I just don't.
Well, like, yeah, I mean, I get that Achane is gonna suck this week and then go on bye. And then probably suck the next week after that. I mean, Indianapolis should be a better matchup, but it's not like his season is over. Like, he's not hurt. Tua is probably going to come back.
I just don't like, compared to the other teams, I don't like the outlook. Don't like the current. Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah,
I mean, not great in terms relative to the other teams. I mean, I still have you at what? I think I have you at 6, so it's not. Like, you're still a playoff team, I think, but I would take other rosters above yours.
That's fair. Things have not
fair.
been good. I'm hoping things improve with Wilson. I mean, he has had some tough matchups. I sat him last week because he was playing Surtain, and that was the right decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe this is just what he's going to be. I don't think that's how it will be, but maybe it is.
And then there are auxiliary pieces. Like one of the things we liked about your roster coming out of the draft was depth. Akers has kind of been kind of a sneaky good draft pick. I guess he's been the starter the last couple of weeks. Hasn't been great.
Not
But
startable though.
Ford's usage is going to drop here with Chubb coming back. Moss is in a full-on timeshare with Chase Brown. There's just like a lot of auxiliary I'm not excited about. And then the studs.
Timeshare doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. Like Gibbs and Montgomery in a timeshare. He scored 15 points in a timeshare.
Yeah, but I don't think a Cincinnati full-on timeshare is that. I mean, that Cincinnati leads the league in pass rate, essentially. So I don't think that a Cincinnati split backfield is anywhere in the league of a Detroit split backfield. And Chase Brown's snaps have been increasing, so that's concerning, I think, if you're a Moss owner.
It's true.
But yeah, but I think we're all we all have an accord about Kelsey. You know, in theory, he steps up now because there's no one else to throw to, and we did see that in terms of production this last week. So, tight end 1 might be back, maybe, which is a huge advantage.
That'd be nice.
All right, moving on. 4 is Kessner. Rise of 2. By the way, Noah had a drop of 3 after winning 2 games. Crazy. Kessner is a rise of 2 after losing 2 games, winning 1 and 1. And is this
He's
just a
put
Ken
up a
Walker?
crap ton of points, though.
Yeah, is this just a Ken Walker response? Like he's got his boys back in the house? I mean,
Kessner has not scored less than 100 points on the entire season.
Where is he in expected wins? -2.
He is. I think he's -1.
Oh, so his bad week was bad.
Surprising.
I'm double checking.
He probably had a 1 dud week, which
yeah, -1.
I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. Craziness, fantastic. Amon-Ra St. Brown finally found his groove. His team has AJ Brown coming back after the bye. The running back situation ain't great, but Walker and Robinson, if they can stay healthy, should be fantastic. Kittle's been good when healthy.
Tucker Kraft is a nice ad.
Yeah, what do we do? What do we not like about Kessler's team? I'm confused. Wait, why do I have him? I have him at 5, I guess. It's not so. What?
I don't think the
Who has him
depth
at
is
7?
as...
No, why don't you have him higher? Come on now.
Because he's 1 and 3.
Okay, all right, I guess. It's true.
Fair.
That's true.
I mean, he's the top ranked of the not 3 and 1 teams. So
Yeah.
what do you want from me?
Hey, and he's got Patrick Mahomes stinking it up on the bench. All right.
Yeah.
I love how he traded for him. Is immediately I would play Bark Party against Arizona. Hell yeah, I'm not playing friggin' Mahomes against New Orleans. But yeah, the A Brown squad though is strong. This receiver room is crazy. Like this is nuts.
It's 3 wide receiver ones, I think.
Yeah, it'd be insane if this team doesn't make playoffs just because
Yeah.
of bad luck.
It's just bonkers. And what a steal! Brian Robinson has been fantastic.
Yeah.
The Washington offense has been fantastic. Who knew? Cliff Kingsbury. Okay. Going to 3. 3's Ken, no change. And I want to talk about it because Noah, you mentioned, Ken's roster has Kyren Williams and Saquon Barkley. Kind of feel like
true.
I take those dudes against like several people's rosters. Like, just give me them and anyone off the waiver wire, and I'll make it work. Like, they are their respective offenses' offense. Barkley finally had a bad game, but he's been absolutely destroying. Kyren Williams is just everywhere. He had his season low in snaps this last week. Still put up 20. He's the GOAT. He's got some boom bust players at receiver. The loss of Rice does suck though, but I've heard that maybe Rice doesn't have a torn ACL.
We still don't
Yeah,
have
it's weird
any
how they
news.
haven't talked about that. I'm assuming he's missing extended time here in my ranking. If he's like back in 3 weeks, then that changes everything.
And Devontae should be back after the bye too. Definitely should clear that concussion protocol, and he's been great.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I would roll Devontae. Like, let's say Rice is out. I'm very happy with Devontae Smith, and you pick Jameson Williams, Rashid Shaheed. I guess I'm less worried. Pittman. If Richardson comes back, I don't want to play Pittman. But this week he should be good. Like that's a fine receiving core. Baker Mayfield has been the truth. Quarterback 3 on the week on the year. One bad game. It's been dominating. Ferguson's been good. Great keeper. What more do we want? This team's loaded.
Yeah, Ken.
It doesn't have a true like standout receiver,
That's
top
true.
tier receiver. But I mean, theoretically, the receiving core is solid, and if his running backs remain healthy, yeah, he'll be a top team for sure.
He's in Sano mode. And Baker Mayfield. Who knew? Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
Exactly. I was just about to say, like, when I look at Ken's team and the names, I'm like, this is not a great team. And then I look at how the team's performing, and I'm like, this is a great team. But I agree with Noah. I think Ken's success is just going to come down to the health of Barkley and Kyren. Because
if he loses one of those
such
guys, it's over.
Yeah, if he loses one or so, Ken handcuff your running backs, dude.
But like this is not, these are not backfields. Like if you had right now, the handcuffs for these two are Kenneth Gainwell on waivers, and we don't know. We thought it would be Blake Corum. He hasn't seen the field. It's probably Ronnie Rivers. Like it's not. This is not interchangeable handcuffs.
That's true. But I think the point remains: if these guys stay healthy, Ken will be a championship contender. If one of them or both of them goes down, he'll probably make playoffs, but I don't think he'll be able to make a championship run because so much of this squad relies on those two backs.
But they're so darn good.
They are so darn good.
All right, guys at 2, Rise at 2, and what are we doing, Guy? In terms of I mean, I don't know what I would do. Engram out, Kupp out, Neighbors out, Jonathan Taylor out. Mixon might play this week. Jordan Love coming back from injury. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And he's still performing. The man is still 3-1 because this squad was deep from the onset. Malik Neighbors is a revelation. And CeeDee Lamb is just getting it going. Bucky Irving, by the way, sneaky good all year. Sneaky good.
And Braylon
might
Allen.
be okay with him and Braylon Allen. That'll be a fun game to watch between him and Sam.
I really am hoping that Trey Sermon is the difference maker because that would be really funny.
That would be hilarious.
And I love how Guy just picked up Evan Ingram's backup at tight end because hey, he's getting snaps. Like if you're gonna pick up somebody, the tight end's useful to this offense. Why not?
Hey, 8 points.
Yeah, like it's working.
Yeah, it's working.
Strange.
Tight end 9, 7, 27.
Yeah. Ingram should be back here soon, though. He was at practice this week. At full health, this seems very scary, but in the decimated state it can't quite catch our number 1 team. What's you guys' outlook on Mixon? We had the one really good game, then he got hurt. Do you think he just returns to dominance once he's back?
Yep.
Why isn't he starting Daniels? Literal quarterback 1. Like, no, you can sit on the bench, bud.
Is Cleveland a bad matchup? And I don't know.
I don't. It shows up on Sleeper as a bad matchup. I haven't looked it up, but
because the Rams is a good matchup for Love.
Yeah, the Rams is a fantastic. I think I probably played Jordan Love. Yeah, Jordan Love has such a great run of games. Oh man. That's part of why I went after Wicks so hard is because the Packers are just going to eat, I think, for the next 5 weeks or so.
Yeah, Rams, and then Carolina, then Houston, then Jacksonville, and then Detroit. None of those guys. I mean, I guess Houston's the hardest defense of them all, but we just saw Detroit get in a shootout. Arizona can't play defense. The Rams don't have a good defense.
Carolina doesn't have a defense.
Do you trade one of these guys if you were a guy?
Which one?
Yeah.
The quarterbacks? Um,
Like they're both
Depends on what you get.
That echelon. If you could get a quality like
What does
RB2
guy
or
need?
receiver 2. If you get a quality running back 2, I think that's his weakest position, or a tight end upgrade, which are very rare. Do you do it?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that now though. I would wait. I would wait until close to the trade deadline so that because
Maximize value.
yeah, you just don't know who's gonna like because the closer you get to the trade deadline, the less chance that you trade for a guy who just gets hurt.
Both of these guys are also good keepers. Love can be kept in the 10th or 8th, something like that, and Daniels can be kept in the 5th.
Cool.
Yeah. So maybe that tickles your fancy. But they're both also kind of quarterbacks that are quote unquote injury prone, like the way they play their game. I don't know.
You would call Love injury prone?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
I mean, especially with the purely based off week 1, even if he wasn't prone going into it, like he's going to have that question mark. That knee is not nearly 100%. Like he's playing because he has to play right now.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that could definitely re-injure very easily. Hyperextension on the knee is horrible. I'm not a professional athlete, but it took me like 6 months to recover from my injury. So, Love's like in the middle of his prime. They got all sorts of doctors. Came back in 3 weeks. That's nuts. Like that's insane. Like,
come on, Luke, what are you doing?
I don't know. I'm failing here. So yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about this the other day. Like if I had both, would I try one? Because it's not like he really needs players. This team he's playing his bench right now, and I don't dislike what I'm seeing.
That's why partly, again, why I would wait, because it's just like down the road you might have a need, but you don't know what that need is yet. So
yeah,
keep your powder dry.
Right.
Sure. All right. Well, consensus. The only pick of consensus is we all agree. There's one number one player. No change from 2 weeks ago. He wouldn't have been changed from last week either. The only 4-0 squad in the league. It's Mark Cockrell. And it is very rare to see a roster this well constructed, gentlemen. It's nasty.
Every time I look at it, it just gets better.
Yeah. It's frustrating. It's wonderful. All things all at the same time. We've talked at length about it. He's made no changes.
Hey, but he has no players he can drop, so he has no flexibility. That means his team is bad, right? Right, guys? Right?
That means his team could get worse.
I like how he just forced Ravens into his lineup for a couple weeks, still won, and then was like, "What am I doing?" And now he's playing the good guys. Bowers and Metcalf are back where they belong in the lineup. Yeah, I don't even say it's beautiful. This roster's beautiful. Khalil Shakir is good. Like I know he got hurt. He was really good before he went down. Geno's been fine. Like Geno's gonna be a fine pinch hitter in case Jackson is out, or I don't know when their bye is. Week 14 bye. Does Geno have the same week? That would be crazy if that happened.
He has the running back one and the wide receiver one.
Yeah. Kamara and Collins. When does that happen? That never happens.
That's insane.
Nico has been insane. And they want him everywhere. This last game against Jacksonville, they had a drive where it was like, I want to say it was 6 plays in the red zone, and 4 of them went to Nico. Like, it was like, we are going to get you a touchdown, so help us. And it was 3 of them were the same exact, like, shallow fade to the corner, and he finally caught it on the last one. It's like, all right, get him a tutty. You earned it, I guess. Yeah, and Bowers has been phenomenal. Like, I guess a pair of bad games his last 2 games, but he started off really strong. He's going to be the offense with Devontae Adams leaving. I don't know what else.
His
to say.
closest matchup was week 1 against Kessner, where it was 101 to 104. Every week since then, he just destroyed his opponent. Absolutely demolished.
So, yeah, let's peel back the curtain. Week 3, he plays Santos, right?
And it's not going to change this week.
Santos texted me the day before. Should I play Richardson or should I play Prescott? And I said, I would play Prescott. And he said, yeah, I'm leaning that way too, but I'm going up against Mark, and I feel like I need maximum upside. And I said, do what you got to do, man. And he texted me after the game. He said, I'm so bad at fantasy football. If he plays Prescott, he wins the game. But he's so
That
terrified
was
of a
swing
Mark
of
squad.
almost 25 points.
Yeah.
Position.
He's so terrified of needing upside, and that's kind of like what makes his team so good is like you're in your opponent's head like before the game starts. It's like, I need to go positive. Like, projections are not enough. I need to crush them. And cost Santos a dub. Craziness. 4-0, Mark. Good job, dude. Mark was literally talking about, like, man, he's kind of taking a backseat to fantasy before the season, and now he's just dominating. Like, this is Mark taking a backseat. What have we been doing? Like,
What has
seriously.
he been doing?
Like,
He should have been doing this the whole time.
I don't understand. But yeah, crazy Ross.
Sometimes all of your draft picks hit, and this is what the consequences of that are.
And Mark's a good drafter. He's been
He's a good player.
He's typically a very good drafter. So this is, and you paired that with an amazing keeper, and it just kind of sent this team over the top.
Yeah, and Nico, whew, outstanding. So there you go. From top to or bottom to top, 12 is Bryn, 11 Jacob, Justin at 10, Santos at 9, I'm at 8, Josh Kobayashi at 7, Sam at 6, Noah at 5, Kessner at 4, Ken's at 3, guys at 2, Mark, you're at number 1. You ain't going nowhere.
For a while, probably.
Shout out to our number 1 fan, Emily. You thought I forgot about you. I didn't.
She's not listening to this.
She's our number 1 fan. I know that one of our 12 uses her. And there you go. Glad to be back. Actually, before we go, I do need to make a public service announcement. And Justin, Noah, please correct me. Justin and I have already had this conversation. This is a comedy podcast, yes?
Yes.
Okay, good. It's a comedy podcast, okay, people? It's comedy. Sure.
What? Why? Who's getting butthurt?
You know who. All right, we'll see you all later.
See ya.
Peace.
Peace.